Hello, my name is Malcolm Smith. I'm the inventor of FlexTech and the founder of A2D Fitness. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install FlexTech to this Nautilus One app crunch machine. Before we get started, however, let's just take a look at the components that are part of the FlexTech hardware system. This is the FlexTech monitor, and basically this is a user interface. This is the mounting bracket, cables, and venting system on the back. So again, this is a user interface. This is the mounting bracket that supports the monitor to the equipment. These are pipe clamps which are used to secure the bracket to the actual Nautilus One machine. This is an adjustable mount for the monitor. This allows the monitor to be able to be adjusted. Here is the power supply. Here is the sensor. This is the sensor that attaches to the inside of the Nautilus One equipment and ultimately connects to the FlexTech monitor. This is supplied low voltage cable. This is used obviously to connect the device to this power supply. And again, this is low voltage, it's just 12 volts. Okay, let's get started. First thing we need to do is take the top, back and side covers off. So we start with the top cover. And the back cover. Just one screw. And then the side cover. That's simply a matter of sliding it up, kicking the bottom out. So in order to be able to secure the FlexTech monitor to the Nautilus One system, the first thing we need to do is put these pipe clamps on. And you notice that the pipe clamp has a square hole one side and a round hole the other side. First of all, the square hole needs to be outside. And the way we position this is simply take a tape measure and measure 6 inches from the main center piece. And using a piece of blue tape, we can just simply put that on at 6 inches. So after the first pipe clamp has been installed, simply measure from the edge of the blue tape to 7 inches, and that's the place we need to locate the second pipe clamp. So again, we have 6 inches from here to this edge, and then 7 inches from this edge to the edge for the next pipe clamp. So again, the pipe clamp with a square hole outward, simply stretch the clamp open and slide it over the tube. So after positioning the pipe clamps, we simply need to insert these carriage bolts. And carriage bolt goes from the outside in. We take a washer and a nut and place them on, and finger tight only at this point. Same for the second clamp. Carriage bolt from the outside in. The washer and nut. So next, we're going to mount this T-bracket on top of the pipe clamps, and simply locates on the first hole with the first pipe clamp. And it's a little tricky, but we need to slide the nut in underneath. Once we have it underneath, we can just finger tighten the Phillips screw. So before tightening the T-bracket, we need to ensure that it's actually vertical. So you can do this just by kind of sighting down the T-bracket and lining it up with the tubular steel on the side of the frame. So once you're comfortable with the T-bracket being vertical, now we can go back to the pipe clamps and finish tightening the U-bolts. And again, these bolts don't need to be really tight, so don't over tighten these. Basically they just need to be snug, because the rubber lining inside of the pipe clamps prohibits the clamps from sliding on the tube, so the bolts don't need to be too tight. Next, we just need to tighten these 2 Phillips screws, because the pipe clamps are obviously in the right place now. Finish tightening those. And now we're good. That's nice and firm, nice and rigid, and it's not sliding. So now we're ready to install the FlexTech monitor adjuster. So this is the thing that allows the monitor to be adjusted, swiveled left and right or up and down. So now we're simply going to mount this to the T-bracket, and the Phillips screws go in from the back with the nut on the front. Just finger tight to start off with. Okay, so now we're ready to install the FlexTech monitor, and recall it's got a mounting bracket on the back, and simply that meets up with the adjustable arm that we've already mounted. It simply slides in, and we simply tighten these hex screws to secure it firmly to the adjustable arm. And again, you don't need to over tighten these, just snug like that, and there we are. Before we can install the sensor, the first thing we need to do is to measure from the ground up the side of the frame to 11.5 inches. So to the top of the blue tape is 11.5 inches. This is a location that we're going to install the sensor. All we need to do to install the sensor, simply remove the back plate, and we insert the sensor through the side. Like this, and bring it through to the front, and then we simply put the mounting plate back on, 2 washers, and nuts. And just confirming that the bottom of the bracket is positioned right at the top of the tape for 11.5 inches. And we can remove the tape. Finger tight for now. Once we're comfortable with the sensor being in the correct location, again the base of the bracket on top of the blue tape that we marked at 11.5 inches, now we're ready to finish tightening the nuts. Now we're ready to secure the anchoring bolt for the drive belt. First thing we need to do is to measure from this base plate here to the top of the cam, and 9.5 inches. So you can see 9.5 inches to the bottom of the blue tape. Next, we take the anchor. Here's the anchor and the drive belt. We simply insert the anchor on the top of the blue tape. Like that. And tighten the 2 hex bolts. Nice and tight. And notice too that the drive belt is actually in from the edge of the cam about 1/2 inch to almost 3/4 of an inch. That's good placement. So now we simply take the counterbalance weight, we run it over the top of the pulley and drop the weight down into the guide tube. So there it is, dropping the weight down, and there we have it. So now we're ready to do cable management on the FlexTech device, and we start from the top and we work down to the base of the system to ensure that this flex tubing is pushed in all the way into the back of the device. Okay, so once we have the cables routed correctly, now we can use the zip ties to secure it firmly to the chassis. And I have 2 zip ties here, and as you can see, zip ties all the way down on a 1x1 basis, and So this is as far as we've gotten so far. So we've brought the cable down, it's nice and tight to the system, nice and taut. So now we're ready to complete the connections to the sensor and the power. So now what we need to do is run the power to the machine. The first thing we need to do is locate the power outlet just as close to the equipment as we possibly can. The next thing we do is locate the power supply for the FlexTech device, preferably up off of the ground or somewhere secure and out of sight. So the power supply has been attached here, and I just want to point out this is the low voltage power supply or power cable, and this is the same cable. So this is provided with the FlexTech kit. The idea is that once we've located the power supply, we use the low voltage cable and we start from here and we work our way back to the machine just in the most shortest path possible. So now we're ready to actually run the low voltage cable to the FlexTech device, and there's a couple of ways to do this. Ideally running under a carpet if possible, or using these cable protectors. This is a 3-inch wide and a 7/16 profile. It's very low profile, and basically we have this running all the way to the machine itself. So now we're ready to work with the cables working back from the sensor towards the FlexTech device. So the first thing we need to do is connect the sensor connection, and it simply plugs into the side of the sensor. So once we've connected the sensor with the RJ11, now we're ready to do cable management, and again using our 1x1 base mounts for the zip ties, we go ahead and secure the cable securely. So now we're ready to connect the two ends of the low power cable. This is the end coming from the power supply. This is the end coming from the FlexTech device. This is a screw block terminal connector, and we must make perfectly sure that we're connecting this cable right here, or this connector with a white stripe, to the same over here on the screw terminal connector. So basically we just insert the wires, tighten the screw block screws, make sure they're snug, and just test, make sure they're not floating. And now we've completed the power circuit to the FlexTech device. Okay, lastly, we just need to take care of this slack cable. So the best thing to do is just simply coil it up and use a zip tie. To bundle the cable. And then simply we use a bigger zip tie here to secure it to the inside of the frame. Again. The last check should be to have somebody actually use the machine. That way we can see if there's anything interfering with the moving parts. And we can look in here and make sure there's no cables interfering. And everything looks good. Now we're ready to do a final test. And the final test simply means that we connect the power supply to the low voltage cable coming from the FlexTech device. We simply connect the two together. And now we can go look at the FlexTech display and expect it to be booting. If FlexTech is successfully running at this point, you will see advertisements cycling. So the next thing we need to do is to ensure that the sensor is performing correctly. And all we do is go into guess mode, simply touch guess mode, select our exercise, and this one is defaulted to ab crunch, which is appropriate. Simply press the start button, and now do your exercise. And the idea is that you'll see the range of motion gauges moving up and down. The reps are being counted. So this is indicating that everything is working as it should. After successfully testing the FlexTech system, we're now ready to replace the side, the back, and the top covers. With the monitor in this orientation, the following Nautilus One equipment can be accommodated. First, chest press, pec fly, lateral raise, shoulder press, bicep curl, tricep extension, low back, abdominal crunch, leg extension, leg press, and seated leg curl. If we have the monitor in this orientation, we can now accommodate the Nautilus One equipment specifically for the lat pull down, the row, and tricep press. So lastly, with the monitor in this orientation, we can accommodate the four-way neck and the hip abduction adduction. To summarize, FlexTech can be installed on the entire line, 16 pieces of Nautilus One equipment. And I hope you found this video informative, and thanks for watching.